Hello, today I wanted to tell you about my journey with the meaning of life. So, the first time I really seriously thought about the meaning of life happened when I was 14. I just became atheist, and as a edgy 14-year-old atheist, of course, the question of the meaning of life is only soon to follow. So at first it was actually horrifying. I had mental breakdowns of it. I almost cried. I couldn't sleep, and being a weeaboo as well, anime was my escape. So between anime that gave me hope to anxiety attacks, I started to develop an interest in philosophy. Now I don't really remember how I got there, but the first breakthrough for me was nihilism. And nihilism is essentially a lack of belief that something holds objective truth or value. So philosophical nihilism, like existential nihilism in this case, is belief that life has no objective meaning. And for me, it was crazy. How can you live without objective meaning in life? You want to tell me I have to make my own meaning? And at this point, I was not 14 anymore, it was probably around 15, 16. But the problem was, still I couldn't make my own meaning. Nothing I invented in my head felt real. But the research never ended. As I continued to learn philosophy, I learned about thinkers like Nietzsche, who recognized the coming of the crisis of meaning way back in the 19th century and proposed that we can fill this hole of meaning with art. It was huge. As a kid who liked to draw, it was really huge. Yet still, for me, it didn't help. Well, there was Aslo, the quote-unquote biological approach to the meaning of life. We just should make kids and die, and it didn't really help either. So it was kind of an interesting situation that happened, because basically finding the meaning of life kind of became my meaning of life, so it helped me for a little bit. And the next big breakthrough for me was Don't Laugh, was one single post of one single line on r/nihilism, which read, "If everything is meaningless, then the meaningless is meaningless." Yeah, I know it maybe sounds a little bit stupid, but it fixed my brain instantly. Like, on the spot I realized that kinda being an aging nihilist that think, oh, nothing matters, all gonna die, and running away from nihilism at the same time, two of them. Kind of weird, but it was kind of my meaning of life all this time. Funny how a lack of meaning became meaning. And at this point, what I noticed is that I no longer get anxious about the meaning of life. Death doesn't really scare me that much either. I stopped getting anxiety attacks or having any breakdowns over it. As a kid who liked hiking, I didn't hike much, but I did gain an appreciation for small stuff like the breeze, sunset, sunrises, clouds. I really like clouds, and other random things. I had this moment of almost like a revelation. It really doesn't matter if there is meaning or no meaning to life. Now I still like these things. I still enjoy the sunsets the same, sunrises. I like to hike, clouds are beautiful. So why did I worry all this time? Nothing changes either way. So this whole process took me about 5 or 6 years to go through. Another thing that I want to mention was that along the way I subscribed to many different philosophies, like absurdism, that is when you just embrace the absurdity of life, or positive nihilism, that is that when you say, yeah, there is no meaning to life, but it's actually a good thing. If it sounds a bit weird, imagine a giant hole, but it's your hole and you can fill it with whatever you want. Anyway, back to my own conclusion, the meaning of life doesn't matter, and this mindset really carried me a long way until now. And recently I've started to question even this. One of the main things for me is that I'm no longer atheist. Over the years I became an agnostic. This is when you're not sure if God exists or not. He may or may not. If God does exist, it's pretty obvious what the implications are, and if he doesn't, then I'm still stuck with my old conclusion, which I really do like, but what if it's not enough? What if I somehow get robbed of this joy of sunsets and clouds and stuff? What if my conclusion is wrong? More fundamentally, the foundation of my conclusion is that it doesn't matter if there's meaning or not. And what if it does matter? Enough about me now. Let's talk more generally. And more generally, the meaning of life may hold most of its value as this unattainable concept we strive for, because as long as we keep searching, we keep improving and bettering ourselves. In this regard, the meaning of life is kind of like the truth. It keeps us from stagnation, and if you don't think that it may be so bad, there are many examples in history and even modern times when someone or a certain group thinks they know the truth and they don't want to hear opposing opinions because they think they got everything figured out. So in a way, the real value of the meaning of life is not knowing what is the meaning of life, because then we keep searching. Of course, many people do separate the truth from the meaning of life, and some others think they are interconnected but different. In conclusion, I would encourage you to explore these subjects yourself, and hopefully my journey helped you a little bit. Goodbye.